Welcome back to Align with Jen. I'm here with my good friend Alex Perez, who is a finance manager from a Fortune 5 company. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
Well, welcome. This is my first time inviting someone who is in the financial world, first of all. So I have no idea what you do, to be completely honest. But props to you. It seems like you're very successful.
What a bad friend.
Right? So embarrassing. But no, honestly, that's amazing. At least from what you've told me, I feel like you've done great things. So I'm not sure if you want to share a bit about that before we jump into this episode and I go deep into it and what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, let's see. So I am a graduate from DePaul University. I went to the business school there. I graduated back in 2010, for anyone trying to figure out my age. That's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so business school, and then just, been working in corporate finance for a while. Like you said, a top 5 company. So.
Nice. Props to
Fun
you.
stuff. Yeah. And I think, I bought my house last year, so
Yes.
very family-oriented. Love and family, friends, it's all, part of who I am. So
Yeah.
been a lot focused on my career, but I've dated a lot and still
Yes.
have done all that, but still single. So
Still sing. Wow, really?
Yeah.
I thought you were seeing someone. Okay, this is a little personal. So if you don't want to share, that's okay. You kind of just surprised me here.
Yeah, I think we're always trying to find ourselves and other people, friends and family as well. So
True.
nothing at the moment, but since I met you, I'm sure we've all kind of dated and been in and out of dating sequences. So.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm such a huge fan of that. First of all, yeah, that's very important for you to try to figure out who's your right partner, I guess.
Yeah,
Who will be that partner long term, because that's very hard. That's a lot of pressure, and I personally do not like it. But that's just me. It's scary in a way.
Yeah, I think a lot of times people aren't too honest with themselves about what they kind of fear, right? Is commitment scary? Is it not? I think it's pretty easy to say some of the kind of the popular comments as far as,
True.
Oh, I'm not scared to commit, or I'm not scared to get married and things like that. But are you,
Right.
And even if you're not, are you not paying attention to certain, behaviors of, the person you're dating,
Yeah.
and things of that sort, Well, what are boundaries, even within your family, right? You love your mom and parents, and they love you, but are there respectable boundaries that you each have, right? So,
True.
So you talk about relationships, it's, you can kind of get really deep into that. So
That's true. And that's actually a perfect transition into what I want to talk about. And it's just it's funny how it worked out in this way.
Mm-hmm.
So I do want to talk about on this episode, love and luck, just because I know a lot of people, like you said, talk about love and sometimes they throw it out so freely.
Mm-hmm.
And also with luck, they're just oh, you're so lucky.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so what does it truly mean to be lucky? And what does luck even entail? It just gets me thinking okay, is it really luck? I don't know, but that's just me. It's crazy.
Yeah, I feel like you can dig into that a lot and make connection points and separate the two. And I mean, it's the same thing with what is love, right? So what is luck? What is love?
Right.
Do you love someone just because you spend so much time with them? Is it quality time? And even then, is quality time even good enough? Right. So there's so many questions. Yeah, so many questions about what is actual love. It's
right.
You like to hope that love is healthy, right? Again, bringing back our parents, and don't want to put my mom on blast or anything here, but she was
bringing back your traumas.
Yeah. She was very difficult, just growing up without a father, and her being the mom and dad.
Yeah.
And we could have been raised very differently, taking things kind of to heart, maybe grown up a little bit more sensitive. But I like to think me and my brothers grew up tough. So me and my 2 brothers, just 3 of us. I'm the middle child. And we had to kind of navigate over the course of 30 plus years with my mom, different, the teen years and the adult years. And You mentioned the word trauma. I don't want to bring any trauma up, but again, she was very difficult. So you can make of that what you want.
Yeah.
But again, I think what I'm coming back to is the question of what is love.
Right.
Is there such thing as tough love? Or can you be too tough to where it becomes, disrespect? Mm-hmm. Right. So I'll let you continue.
No, yeah, no, those are questions, and those are questions that I do have for you. So, like to you, what is love to you? Because you did bring up that question, and I actually do have that for you. I'm just like, okay, because you're mine, I just love how you think, honestly, and I'm throwing up that word out, but it is
we're already overusing the word love.
We're overusing it. Like, I was just saying how a lot of people throw it out there, and I'm just doing that right now. But really, it's just it's sometimes you get me thinking and you challenge my thinking, which I really like. I appreciate that, because it's just like, okay, my mind isn't just there with the basic info, or like the information that you see every day, or like you said, the very social common things that you see that people accept, and like you said, they ignore other things. When it comes to love, so what is it? What does that mean to you?
Okay, I'll answer that.
How would you define it?
Yeah. Before I answer that, right, and I don't want to deviate from that and brush it off. I do appreciate you mentioning how analytical I am and how I work. So again, just a little bit for the viewers or listeners.
Yes.
I am in corporate finance. So I have to be very analytical, system oriented. There's coding, there's drug research, and I'm working in finance. So it's like I have to have all these other considerations, right?
Right.
How does it impact the business this way, that way, and I think you see a little bit of how I overanalyze, or again, and that's even a word. Is there a such thing as overanalyzing? Right? So I'm starting to annoy some people here.
Yeah, picking some words.
Yeah, you can pick at everything, and it's just that's what I do in my professional career.
Yeah.
And I do take that home. Not to say I take work home. Yeah. I work from home anyways, but
I was gonna say that.
You know what I mean? As far as how your brain works, right?
Yeah.
And some people are themselves at work, and they're different at home. Some people are who they are altogether, and that's how I am. So I just like to analyze, all things. Get philosophical, talk religion, and we talk about all these subjects. Yeah, so.
We've gotten pretty deep into it, so that's why I'm like, okay, that's why I'm like, this would be a great episode to talk to you about, like, both things, just because they're very basic, but we can dive very deep into it. So
yeah. And so I think I prefaced answering your question with that, right? Because I might bore everyone listening, and I could go on a 2-hour, 5-day long conversation on like what is love. So your question, right? So what is love to me?
Basic. You can be very like, yes. What is it to you?
Well, basic is boring to me. So
yeah. Okay, true. That is
like,
true. Never mind. Don't do basic.
Yeah.
This is. Yeah, you can take your time and really think about it, because it's a very simple but deep question.
Yeah. No, I just think I could take forever answering this question. So let's try to start very fundamentally.
Okay.
Right? So,
in that case.
I think it comes down to making a connection, right? So again, I'll talk my mother or the person I'm dating, and hopefully look to fall in love with, right?
Yeah.
I think it's an honest, respectable connection that you make with someone, where you become vulnerable and open, transparent, and with all that comes all the things that you're looking for to make it like a clean, honest, pure love, right? It's the respect, it's trust. Especially with social media, it's like, do I trust you? Do I not? Are you flirting with other girls or other guys?
What
and all
is
that?
he doing?
Yeah, what is he doing? Are you really with your mom right now? All those questions. And so we could branch out forever.
Yes.
So I think it really comes down to a connection that you're making, and you make a connection with friends, but you can also love friends, right? So
100%.
all in different ways. And so it's an honest, transparent connection where you make yourself vulnerable to sometimes being let down, but I think if
taking that risk.
Yeah, you have to take that risk, and if you're not taking a risk, then like, what are you doing, right? So.
Wow. Okay. Well said. I love it. Great ending to that. That is so true, and I think that's where the fear comes in for many people. Like, they don't want to take that risk. But yeah, it's just interesting. But that's so true. You're definitely taking a risk because you don't know like what's gonna happen long term. And even people now like who are married, I'm sure they have like situations where they're like, okay, like is this gonna work out? Am I sticking this out for the long run, or situations happen. So, but it is. I think it does come down to, like you said, trust. Being vulnerable is like a huge thing. And I think that's where I struggle. I was just like, I cannot, at least right now, I was just like, I cannot open that to anyone. So me personally is just like, okay, I'm not ready for that.
Yeah.
But I think that's my fear, doing that. Like, so.
That's good. See, I like that you brought up the word fear. I think we need to, again, right, is if it's a
Accept.
spouse or parent or even friend that you love, I think we need to understand people's fears, right? Because we can go on and on about respect, trust, right? The words we always kind of use. Communication is obviously key. But do we understand each other's boundaries? Do we understand, each other's, pinpoints and pain points and, what frustrates you, what angers you? And do we even care to address
know,
that, right?
or like,
to know and even find out. I mean, first you have to find out what it is, right? So do you even make the dedication?
Like, ooh, do I want to know?
It's like do you make the effort to find out?
Yeah.
What bothers them and what annoys them and what can potentially get in the way over the course of X amount of years with that person, right? We can talk about our parents and we can imagine them being married, 30, 40, 50 years, but what actually happened over the course of those 30, 40 years, right? Their ups and downs, were they consistent? Did they care not, like on one day, on a Tuesday, or 5 years ago when something happened and they just didn't really care to address so-and-so's like emotions and didn't give them reassurance when they probably could have, and it just, carried on and led to something else, right? Maybe.
Or it's just a buildup of things
exactly.
after a period of time.
So I think we need to find out what are those things that, frustrate, annoy, and then act on them, right? If we actually care.
That's true.
So again, it goes, do you care enough to ask and find out? And then do you care enough to do something about it, right? So again, we talk about social media, if I'm dating person A, and, she thinks I'm on the phone a lot. I could be on the phone with family, friends. I could be on social media flirting with other people. And so do I care to address that she thinks I'm on the phone too much? All right. Now, what do I do about it, right? So do I show her my phone? Do I not? Do I make it a issue to kind of get defensive? Do I blow up? So we all act differently. And again, so all these words, respect, trust, it's easy to just throw those out there. Yeah. But how do we act? I think is a critical part of.
Yeah. I think it's very easy to say that, oh yeah, I trust you, or yeah, let's work on this. Communicating, which is like the simplest thing, at least to me, but to some people it isn't. And then but then again, there's times when you don't want to, like you said, it's the way like the person reacts to a situation, and it'll take time to figure out like each other, I guess, in the long run. Yeah. But yeah. So, okay, with that being said, quick question before we go on a quick break. So do you believe in love at first sight?
You see, so you're like taking me over the course of my whole life and when I did and didn't think of love at first sight as
you're getting
like
flashbacks?
A real thing. Yeah, I think we go through our I think we go through our moments where we want to believe in something or we do believe in something and maybe we're let down and I don't want to say jaded or broken. Yeah. But we all go through experiences. And so maybe it's a little undefined for me and some things are. And again, I'm very analytical. I'm on the fence intentionally because I'm looking at the pros and cons and everything. Yeah. But at the heart of it, I don't know if I do. I would probably lean towards no.
Towards no. Okay.
Yeah, I think lust is a big thing that we often forget about. Yes. Attraction is very, very easy. You're attracted to shiny objects, right? So
you're like,
you can, ooh. Yeah. I mean, you can easily be distracted by shiny objects. You see a piece of gold, right? It might be a burning piece of gold, right? You
don't know.
It can be really hot and you touch it and you you fry your hand. But it was a shiny object and you wanted to get your hands on it, right? So
you wanted to get hurt.
yeah, but you didn't know, right? So
right.
shiny objects can steer you in the wrong direction, I guess, or mislead you. So I think it's easy to fall kind of victim to love at first sight.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah. No, so. I agree. I think I agree with you in the sense of not. I would say no as well. I would say to what you said, attraction. I would say more so attraction at first sight because you, like you said, you can look at someone and be like, ooh, this guy or this girl is cute. Like, I want that. Or I want to talk to her.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, but at the end of the day, it's just like you don't really know the person. So love, I think, is too strong of a word to be like.
You know. And again, going back to, I guess, just my definition, you know, of what love is, it's that connection. How do you even make a connection if you don't know them, like you said, right?
Right.
So it is just a instant, quick little eye gratification. It's eye candy.
Eye candy.
Yeah, so attraction at first sight. I think you put it.
Yes.
You put it the right way. I think so.
Yes. Awesome. Okay, we're gonna go on a quick break, and we'll be back in just a few.
All right. So if anyone ever has any questions on kind of the finance world, corporate finance, or just wants to bounce some ideas and, you know, all that off me, I'm more than, you know, available to listen and all that. So my Instagram is Alex Zander with a Z. That's not how you actually spell my name, but Alex Zander Perez 100.
Welcome back to A Language Jen. So we finished here. Talking about love, and well, we dove in a little bit, but since you asked, you didn't ask me, but since I mentioned my fear, what is your fear when it comes to, what are your fears?
Do you want to remind me? What was your fear?
I don't know if I want to remind you. I'm just kidding. I said being vulnerable.
So you're scared to be vulnerable.
Yes.
I think that's actually the part I enjoy, being vulnerable.
That's what.
Yeah.
Wow,
I think,
impressive.
Yeah, because I think I'm all for risks. You know, you have to apply for that job to get it, right?
Right.
You have to go, and we come from a different, I think, you know, men usually having to approach women at bars and random places, like we have to make that initiative. So, you know, being let down is part of the game, right? Being rejected, you know, I guess
part of it.
Men are, I guess, more accustomed to getting rejected and turned away and turned down than women are. So maybe that has something to do with it.
I don't know. I've been rejected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We all have. I feel it can be healthy. A little dose of rejection can be healthy. But it's all with how your mind works, right? I mean, that's life in general. Whatever you're talking about, it's like, how does your mind take that rejection or whatever it is? So, no, I enjoy the vulnerable part of it. You know, it's an experience with, you know, let's talk about someone I dated 7 years ago. Like, no one can ever have that but me and her. And if it didn't work out, then, you know, 3 years later I date someone else, and still got to be vulnerable. It's still a new experience, right?
True.
And so I think for me that my fear, if I'm being honest, I think I used to lie about my fear and say, you know, I'm scared of someone letting me down.
Okay.
Right. I'm scared to be vulnerable and then be let down by that person. Right. I think that used to be my fear. And I think as I grew older, I realized that my actual fear is probably me letting them down, if I'm being honest. And so maybe not feeling like I'm doing my job.
Or the most that you can. And
so I like to always tell people, right, you need to do your best in relationships and at work, because it's the same thing. If you don't give your all, then, you know, you give 50% to your relationship or 50% to your job, and you end up fired. Like, what do you have to bitch about? Right? You can't. Like, you got fired, you didn't do your job. So, like, maybe you should have just done your job. So, you know, you can still be let go, right? Giving my all to, you know, you shared that I work for a Fortune 5 company. I've been in corporate finance for a while. I have a lot of connections. Yeah. But anything can happen, especially with this pandemic. You know, you
just never know.
Struggle. You just never know. So, you can give your all, and I think that's why people are scared to be vulnerable, scared to give their all, because you can still be let down, you can still be let go.
Right.
But you have a better chance of succeeding if you do that, right? If you give it your all. So I think for me, my fear has become being honest with myself and saying, you know, will I let someone down? Like, if I was married, will I? I think the real fear is, if I'm being honest, getting married, having kids, being divorced, and going through all that.
I was going to say, yeah.
That's my real, true, most kind of tangible fear. But, you know, leading up to that is the whole, like, did I do my job?
Right.
You know?
It's well, regardless, I think it's you have to put in the work, like, day in and out. Like, if in any relationship, and even after marriage, I think especially after marriage, not that I know personally, but I think that's where you see some people get lazy.
Yeah.
And they don't put that effort anymore. And it could lead to, that fear. That tangible fear that you're speaking of.
No, definitely consistency is key. And especially because, I mean, we all know this, right? But this is where we have to merge the ideas that, again, talking about trust and respect, but let's kind of bring it all together, right?
Right.
So we talk about how we all know, we as we grow over the years, we change. People change. We know that. Okay, now let's tie that into the concept of consistency. How do you remain consistent when people are changing? Can I be consistent with you, just using person I'm dating,
right?
With what I've done in the past, and is that even good enough anymore? Because you've changed, I've changed. Even if you didn't change, and I'm consistent, if I lose that consistency, it might impact our relationship. But if you change and I'm still consistent, that consistency probably isn't good enough for you anymore.
It doesn't meet the new standards.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So consistency is key, but we also change over the years. So how do you meet these expectations over the course of, again, right, 30, 40 years? It is kind of scary. But again, that's exactly why now you bring in the element of communication. Like, you've got to talk. Right. So, and you've got to be vulnerable, and you've got to say, I'm not happy with this and that.
Right.
Because even then, again, like we said, it might not be good enough, right? So.
It's just taking that chance.
Yeah.
Oh.
Taking a chance.
Taking a chance.
Yeah. Communicating.
Yes.
Consistency, communication, and chances.
Yes.
Yeah, so.
There you go. But at the same time, I feel like that's why it's important to find someone who's not necessarily thinks exactly like you, because obviously you're going to disagree on different things and many things. And as you change, your views are going to change too, or your perspective on certain things in life. So to me, it's just like, okay, like, maybe if you can find someone that is going to challenge you but not only challenge you, but push you to be a better person, like, that's a good change. Like, you're both like kind of like pushing each other. The
growth part of it.
Yes. As opposed to one growing and the other one just, like you said, staying consistent. Like, okay, but they haven't changed. Like, they're still the same. But now that's where it, does it hit or miss? Like, okay, this person's growing and changing, but this person's still staying consistent and giving that person what they originally or first liked or fell in love with. Yeah. But
it's especially it's sorry to cut you off. Especially if you're like the couple that's been dating since high school, right? Like that's a perfect example of people dating since they were 18.
That's impressive to me.
Yeah, but then now you're dating 15 years, which you can give a lot of like admiration and respect to. But
for sure,
like, what really happened, and did you grow together? Did you not grow together? Because as you mentioned, right, like, change can be good. It can be healthy. Growth, and even if one is growing and the other one is staying stagnant, and maybe that works in some cases.
True.
Maybe you both growing in a positive way, you can still kind of deviate and separate. Right, so let's just use that same example where, they've been dating since high school, but now, they've been dating 15 years, everything is fine, but they never got their, let's say, their master's and their doctorate degree, and they choose to do so after dating 17 years, right? Yeah. Will they now separate? Does it become an issue? Even as mature as they are, even if they have all the years, and they're actually growing together in a positive way, but is it something that
might hinder or like change that relationship?
Exactly. So,
and you do see that. I saw it. Like,
and so these other elements of like jealousy and other things come up when it's maybe not even that. It's just you've tweaked the kind of love, the original love that you had, if you say. Yeah. And over the years you've grown together. Change. You've even probably communicated. It was probably healthy, but again, does it meet your new standard an expectation that you have, right? At age 33, 34, whatever it is, right? And sometimes they're not in sync. And again, and that's why I'm saying they can be positive changes, but even then, like,
you don't know.
You don't know. And so again, you have to talk. You know, some people make the sacrifice of, okay, well, we want to have kids, and I really want to go get my doctorate degree, but I know you might think it'll become an issue. Right. I might make the sacrifice for us and not go pursue that doctorate degree. Right. Mm-hmm. Those are conversations that people have to have in a relationship, and this is I think our segue into a word that I've been looking to use. I think the word interdependence or codependence is often underlooked or underappreciated, I guess. So way too often I think we're too independent and interdependent. I think I'm mixing up my words. You might want to pause it.
Let's take
interdependent.
We're gonna take a break. I'm just kidding. Do you need one?
No, at this point.
That's okay. Okay. Whew. Quick break. I think it was the whiskey in my wine that was getting to us, so we needed to get ourselves together a bit. So you were saying, what about this codependency?
Yeah, right. So
let's track back.
Yeah, that's funny. So in all fairness, right, the word independence and interdependent are pretty similar, right? So let's be fair. I just want to make sure everyone caught that. But I was trying to say that I think sometimes, especially in this generation, we get too caught up into proving that we can be independent. We can manage on our own, right?
Yes.
So being independent, it's a great thing, right? You can achieve your own successes in life. You can buy your own house. You can go pursue your master's, doctorate degree, or whatever.
Yeah.
You can fend for yourself. We get it. But I think again, this generation is too caught up into trying to prove that. That we miss the element of being interdependent, right?
Yes.
And I think that's
we steered far from it.
Yeah. And so I just want to highlight that's a critical part of, I think, love and finding love and maintaining that love is you are interdependent in a way, right? You're a team.
Right.
Your parents are a team, and so hopefully they raise children together the most appropriate way that they can, and they create a happy home. Mm-hmm. But just imagine that where the mom is doing one thing, the dad's doing another thing, and they're never on the same page. It just becomes chaos. So that's I think
true.
It's nice to have your independence.
Why do you say it like that?
I just want to make sure I'm speaking clearly here.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Am I getting attacked? I'm just kidding.
No, not you. I'm just saying. I just don't want to mix up my words.
Okay, that's
the word independence versus interdependent. Yeah. So I think it's just overlooked. Is just what I was thinking. So.
No, I think that's true. And it's because you're right. Everyone is aiming for that independency. Mm-hmm. And especially, I think now with the whole, female movement, too, everyone's, wants to show, including myself. I'm like, yes, I can do this for myself. Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily need someone, but at the same time, if you want to build that relationship, you do end up depending on that person to an extent. And you do have to be vulnerable. You do have to, do all those wonderful things you mentioned earlier about being respectful and whatnot. But yes, I think it's very hard for some people, especially now, since there's a lot of influence in being independent and doing things for themselves.
Yeah. And if we try to look at the history of women, right? And obviously I'm not a woman, but if we're paying attention, we're paying attention. We know that women had to obviously fight for the rights, make less on the dollar than men do, all these, unfair and inequality. But we get that, and I think a man who respects you will understand this and allow you to maintain your identity, your
independence,
your independence. You maintain your identity and your uniqueness. You don't have to be so harsh and brash with all that, right? You don't have to try to step all over a man to prove that you're strong and you're the dominant one for fear of him being, machista, dominant.
True.
And I think at least in my like dating experience, I've seen a lot of like kind of women try to be like the dominant and controlling one.
Yeah.
It's like, hold on, time out. Like, I'm not trying to be dominant here. It's like why are you?
Pump the brakes.
Slow your roll. So again, right? It's knowing kind of the history of women and what they've been through. So understanding why that might be the case.
Yeah.
But you have to kind of harness that, right? Just like you
Right.
got to harness your emotions. Is we can all just be angry and be emotional. That's not the point. You can be very dominant and even men, right? I think a lot of times like situations with men escalate out of testosterone and just trying to prove themselves. I know we're getting into other things.
I was like, yes.
So I don't want to spend too much time there. But my point is, we try to prove ourselves way too much, and we just need to harness our emotions and thoughts and feelings. And so back to the independence, right? It's just like, just find someone who respects your uniqueness, but be open to, merging yourself with someone else, and getting to know someone and opening up and becoming a team. So I think
That was well said. I like that. And I think, just quick comment, I think what you said too in terms of women, I think there's a huge cultural like part of that too. Mm-hmm. It's, like you said, history and everything, but there's a lot to it. So it is changing, trying to not necessarily fight against it, but it's like changing that. And some men don't even realize when they say certain things or when they do certain things or act a certain way, that's like, that's questionable.
Yeah.
Or you're like, you're stuck in those old ways type of thing.
For sure.
But you're right. It's like...
But see, and so I'm bringing it... I feel like we know that, right? Again, even if the men don't know it, let's use that word. Then be machista, right? And they're showing those questionable behaviors and traits. Do the women know, though? Right, that's where I come in from the male perspective. The male perspective is to say it's also a, I guess, toxic trait of women these days. And do women know that?
Picking out certain things, or
can a woman be machista? If
yes.
So, what is the word? I don't know. Maybe we should Google.
What's the new? I don't know.
Maybe the woman should be machista and we call men machista.
Now it's changing. Like where women are becoming machistas, and then men are just like, I don't know.
Yeah, and I to be fair, like, I wouldn't say like the men machistas are like disappearing. I'm sure they're out there and it's still a thing. I'm just saying let's kind of be cognizant of the fact that like women are starting to do that as well. So we just all need to stop being toxic. This is everyone time out. Stop being toxic.
Everyone pause. Take a moment. But at the end of the day, it comes down to what you said, like being able to rely on that codependency, and I know that's, you said interdependent. Yeah. To make that team. I think that's some people's goals, because it's not everyone's goal too. Like to make a team and allow themselves to connect in that way with someone. So I wouldn't say it's for everyone, but you're right on that sense.
Okay.
So do you think, since let's stay on this topic, so do you think you have a soulmate?
Do I think I have a soulmate? Well, I don't have a soulmate now. Like, next to me, living with me.
But do you believe that you have a soulmate?
I believe there's a soulmate out there for me.
Is it just one, or do you think you have many? Because, I'm just curious.
Well, I've always defined the word soulmate as like one, the one and only. Right?
Okay.
So I thought, are there soulmates? I think to me that's hard to
grasp.
That's
like that idea.
Yeah. So because then I think it makes it easier. Like, oh yeah, because then someone can have 5 soulmates, someone can have 10 soulmates. Like, well, I guess 10 soulmates exist.
Pump the brakes.
Yeah. If it's 1+, then it has to exist, right? So
right.
And I know, again, this is how my brain works. So sorry, people, but it's the same thing with like, is there life outside of like Earth? Right? There's so many planets out there. We're not talking about 5-10 planets that are exactly like Earth. Is there a chance that there's maybe one out of the trillions of planets out there that is somewhat like Earth? I think I think that at least, we'll just answer it as simply as, I think the odds of that is at least greater than 0.
Okay.
So
well said.
So
Well said.
yeah. So and when we're talking about life on another planet, right?
Yeah,
so,
I was like, wow. Okay,
yeah.
let's bring it back.
Is there love on another planet? Right?
Wow. Okay, now we're taking a whole nother level. We're taking this to the next level.
The fact that aliens have not killed us, is that love?
Is that?
Yeah,
that is.
love,
All right.
yeah. I can't remember the quote, but I remember they said love transcends like all, like the whole universe and all other like forces. So I don't remember the quote, but
Wow. So maybe there is.
maybe.
Your
Back to your point.
soulmate said.
Yeah. Back to your point of is there
Sorry,
a,
that was funny.
do I believe there's a soulmate? I don't think so. I don't think I at least personally want to grasp my mind around the hope of having a soulmate or not having a soulmate. I think it's the same as like love at first sight. It can, steer you in the wrong direction, looking for, they just say I'm looking for a woman that looks like Kim Kardashian my entire life and just waiting and I just threw that name out there, right? But it's like,
right. Like,
why not just like wait and see what's in front of me and appreciate it and take a chance and see where it goes, and that can be the healthiest, purest thing ever. So soulmate, I think you just find people and you make what you can out of it. We haven't talked about luck yet, but
that's, I was going to say, yeah, well, because you said taking a chance.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a good transition into that. But before we jump in there, because it is, we're gonna keep going.
Yeah.
we're gonna keep going. It is very interesting in general what you said about the soulmate, because there are many people who, like for you it's hard to think about many soulmates, or like more than one, and then but you don't, it's just like, so you don't believe in any. So
I believe you can find someone that is your person,
but that's not yours. But you don't think it's your soulmate.
Yeah, because to me, I think soulmate means this person is out there somewhere in the world, and it's only them. Because again, I'm talking,
only that one person.
Singular.
Yes.
Yeah, and for whatever reason, they are the perfect person for you. We haven't even talked about perfection and imperfections, right? So that's a whole nother. Yeah. So
wow, you're just bringing up all these
I need that. So it's like there's, to me, again, the word soulmate, and we just said it with the word soulmate. Otherwise, we would be saying soulmates, right?
Yes.
So soulmate means one singular person out there that is perfect for you for whatever reason, even if you're different, even if you are exactly the same, whatever it is. That's the person for you. But they're somewhere out there in the world. Like, the chances of you finding that person out there, are they perfect for me because they live in? I'm from Chicago. Are they perfect for me because they happen to live in Chicago and they're close by and we have all these similarities?
Yes.
Or is my perfect person out there in Australia somewhere? Like, their heart is just so clean and pure and we're on the same wavelength with everything. But I'm just never going to meet her.
There's like no way.
No chance. So I think it comes back to kind of just being lucky to find someone that is worth your time and energy and commitment.
Yeah.
And you choosing to be vulnerable and everything we just talked about. Yeah. And you're choosing, they're choosing, and again, now you're on the same page for whatever reason. You might be totally different. Opposites might attract. Yeah. Or opposites might not attract. And the reason why you guys are probably perfect for each other is because you just understand and agree on everything. And I think that's a little far fetched there to think that you'll find someone that's like exactly like you.
Yes. Or who exactly fits like everything.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm like, well,
maybe, right? So
maybe you do find someone.
Yeah,
but it wouldn't like. But at the same time, I agree with you in terms of like the soulmate, like exactly how.
Yeah, and that's my own definition. Other people might say, right, like it's my soulmate, it's the person I've been meant to be with, this and that, and if we're kind of using that definition of there's somewhere out there for me and only me, maybe, but then the whole concept of soulmates. That's why. If it doesn't work out with this person and I thought they were...
I can find another one.
So I do think that there are people out there that we can mesh with, and it can be a healthy love and maybe last forever.
Right.
If it's not person A,
maybe
we might have thought it was person. It might be person Z. So I'm not saying love does not exist, obviously, and I'm not saying there's a person out there for you. I do think there's a person out there for you that you can mesh with, meet with, be on the same page, have a healthy relationship with.
Right.
I think that's definitely a possibility for everyone. I wouldn't say that it's a soulmate though, because to me, I just feel like we're saying the one grain in the sand.
Yes.
And it's like,
let me go look.
Yeah, like I feel like there's a beach for you. That's a perfect beach for you, maybe for whatever reason, and then if it doesn't work out, well, all right, well, maybe it wasn't the beach for you. It's the other beach. Let's go on the south side of Chicago, not the north side of Chicago. But to say there's like one grain of sand for you,
that's a little extreme. Yeah. It's just like pushing it, I think too. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that was well said. Okay. We're going to go on a quick break, and we'll be right back. Okay. Welcome back to Align with Jen, where we discuss more than health. So we finished off talking about soulmates here. So, and you did mention the word chance and luck or lucky here and then. So I want to ask you, what do you think when someone says, I'm the luckiest person to have met so-and-so?
I'll just throw words out there. Question mark?
Question mark.
To be determined. Lies? No.
Wow.
Yeah, let me not seem right. Let me not seem broken. No, I think...
Trauma?
Trauma, right? Where'd you find it? So, I think again, we overstate positive things sometimes, if that makes any sense. So I think we tend to overinflate things that happen to us and say, stroke our own ego, pat ourselves on the back for things that may or may not be true. I mean, sadly, I think people are always making comparisons, right? So I think even if you're in a relationship and you have a best friend that's been in a relationship and you both have been in relationships for 10 years with the same person. I've just seen it. Not that I've gone through it. I've just seen where people make these false comparisons and say, or try to show that they're like the happiest couple and the perfect couple. Right. But are they? Right. So I think just that's why I said there's that question mark, and then there's also even if you are experiencing something so happy and loving, to be determined, right? As we kind of talked about before, what's gonna happen in 5 years, 3 years, like what's the end result, right? So
right.
But as far as like luck and them being lucky, I think luck is a critical part of life, even whether we're talking love or not. I think luck is going to happen, both good and bad, and you can be the nicest, sweetest person ever, and bad things are gonna happen, and
right.
And I don't want to upset and set you up for disappointment. But maybe you just brace yourself for reality, right? Like, bad things are going to happen to good people, and good things are going to happen to bad people. Right. So when someone says, right, I'm the luckiest person on earth, you might be. do you deserve it? Do you deserve it?
That's the question.
Maybe you don't.
Right.
So again, right, we get into all the, let me just go down the list, right, of questions of, question mark, is it really luck? Are you actually happy? To be determined what's actually going to happen later. Were you really lucky? Maybe you're lucky in 2022, but 2024, you're going to see that it's probably the worst decision of your life.
Not so lucky.
Yeah, and not so lucky. And not trying to be negative here. And then, good things happen to bad people, bad things happen to good people. But luck is going to happen. They often say, right, that luck runs out. So, it's just to answer your question, I think just it's questionable. It's something to be determined, as I said, but then also it's gonna happen. So what do we do with it? Do we appreciate it? Do we not acknowledge that it was luck and embrace it and take care of it? So I think I mentioned that we're going a little bit off tangent, but it might be funny here. So as I was on my way here, I told
Yes, and
I
yes,
lost $100, right?
right.
And I started to think about it. I was like, it doesn't mean much to me. Hopefully someone finds it, and their day
Is made.
is made. They got a little lucky. I got a little unlucky.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, even if I took as much care of that $100 bill, right? If I took care of it, put it in my pocket, wallet, whatever, I did the best I could to take care of it. Somewhere or another, it was misplaced, or I lost it. It's no longer mine. Right, it's the same thing with love. I think we can take care of it, we can appreciate it, or we could not have appreciated and taken care of it as much as we should have, and we still might lose it. Still might end up in someone else's hands. Might have misplaced it or lost it. So
yeah,
in that sense, and in that sense, right? Like I lost the girl that I loved and didn't take care of her, but she's now someone else's. Like she deserves to be happy with that other person, and he probably deserves her as well. So he's a lucky guy, and I guess I'm unlucky. And then
in that sense,
yeah. And then do I find someone else, and now it's my lucky break, right? So I know I talked about not really believing in soulmates. Do I believe in destiny? It's another question that I could be on the fence with, but I do believe things happen for a reason.
Me too.
Oddly enough, I think things happen for a reason, but we have a lot of control and sway in what's going to happen. Because I could be with someone toxic for 5 years, or I could choose to be with them for 5 hours or 5 days and be like, oh, nope, moving on.
Yeah,
I'm leaving. So where is life going to take you, right? What's the path after that? Because I chose 5 years as opposed to 5 days with that person.
Right.
And so, you just end up being lucky for natural reasons, and you end up being lucky and unlucky for somewhat of your own reasons, right? Your own decisions, right? It again going into a bunch of stuff, and I'm sorry.
No, but like, this is good because how much of it is choice? Yeah. Over
bad choices, and how much of it is just happen across your path. So. Yeah.
So that's why I was just like, do you believe in luck then?
Yeah, but what are we talking about though? Are we talking about, do you believe again like in a soulmate, that you'll be lucky enough to find someone that is your greatest person ever?
Yeah, not the soulmate, because we already touched base on that soulmate part, but just in general, like. Yeah. I know we brought it together where it's like luck and love in general. But how about on its own? I know you shared a perfect example, like what happened today on your way here. And honestly, the way you responded to that, it was like to me, it was like the best response, because you saw it in such a positive way of like letting go of something. So you can see it as like how I saw it too, is like how you just said, like you're letting go of someone. And it's going to lead you to something better. Yeah. Or even for you, like how you mentioned, like, oh, now it's your turn to be lucky and find something or someone better in that sense.
Yeah, and I think, right, I don't want to be fake here. Like, I lost $100 for a second there. It hurt. Like, damn it, it's mine. So unlucky. God hates me. Was I in my feelings, so to say, for just a bit? Maybe a little bit. Yeah. But that's again same thing with a relationship, right? I love someone, I lost her for whatever reason. Did my best, didn't do my best, whatever. And at some point, you have to let go. Might not be instantly, and that's okay. You have to go through your, emotions.
The wave.
Yeah, you've got to go through your process. And so, I did feel some type of way losing that money. I was like, I got to go to ATM again. And efficiency and everything else, right? So
you're analyzing.
Yeah, but I knew at the end of it, like there are some things we can't control, right?
Right.
And so, I know some people are probably saying, well, if you break up with someone, you could control trying to mesh things and trying to work it out. Maybe, right? But in a sense, if we're just sticking to the $100 bill and letting someone go, and it's time to let something go, like you have to do it and be unselfish, because I think there's a few things out there in life that you can't be selfish with, and to me, I think love is definitely one of them. Like you can't force people to be in love with you, and you can't be selfish and keep someone away from finding their love, I think that's just like a horrible concept.
It is.
I'll share this, and it might be a little funny, but like for me, I always thought it was a little weird when like friends would date like other friends' exes and family members and all that stuff, and for me, it's not something like I would seek. Like I would not date like my brother's like ex-girlfriend and things like that.
Right.
But I've started to be less judgmental towards that.
Okay.
If that's kind of what I wanted to share, only because if let's just use that same example, like my brother was truly in love with my ex-girlfriend, let's say it's like 10, 20 years later, and there's like no one else that he really connects with, like who am I to get in the way of like what him is important, right? And I think it's easier to understand when you talk about like friends and cousins and things of that sort, and it can get messy, but that's why I would stray away from that, and I think, you know, other friends and people who care about you try to stay away from that. But at the end of the day, you can't force love on someone, and you can't keep someone away from being, you know, and that's why we had Romeo and Juliet, right? So like, you don't want that to happen on the daily. But you need to respect that people go through their process, and sometimes it's unlucky, and sometimes you're lucky.
Sometimes you're lucky. So yeah, in that sense, overall you do believe in luck.
Yeah,
like I'm like trying to you answer your question.
yeah. Sorry for this. Sorry for everyone. Yeah, that's definitely something we could kind of talk about forever. But luck is bound to come your way. I think sometimes you get distracted with what you see as lucky, right? Mm-hmm. Even if you played the lottery and you were playing the one that gives you like $1,000 a week or the jackpot, right? To you, like you might think that you're not lucky because you've never hit that jackpot.
Right.
But I mean, are we all going to hit the jackpot? Like, come on. Like, should you appreciate that you, like, you know, you won the $1,000 a week and, like, be appreciative of the luck that came your way.
Yes.
You know?
So, but, okay, that just, like, what comes to mind then is to what extent is it luck or versus, like, choice? Because... For example, like I can go buy a lottery ticket and I can that's where I would use the word luck. I can get lucky and just like, wow, I won whatever amount. And there can be someone who's choosing to go get this lottery ticket every Monday. And after like X amount of days or, you know, choices of getting this, they get that luck.
Yeah. I think what I see is a Venn diagram here, right? Like two circles that
like
come together.
analyzing.
It's like you can make your choices and good things happen because you made those choices.
Yes.
And then lucky things can happen, like, and it just happened to just go your way, like, you know.
Yeah.
And there are times where I think like it may be more lucky, but at least you made the choice to go get a lottery ticket and take your chances and see what happens, and then you got lucky.
Yeah.
Whereas other times I think things just fall in your lap. Or you have no control if like the person you're gonna end up dating and be with the rest of your life, it just crosses your path. Are you gonna give yourself credit for stepping outside the house that day?
Like yes, I made the choice. I walked to the mall or
I went to Target. I deserve that. I'm not lucky. So it comes down to how you want to really.
But what if you did it? Like what if you decided not to go to Target and you don't get lucky. You don't see you know?
Like to me, I still think that person, you have to be lucky for that person in the whole world to have crossed
just like
your path at that same exact time, because you had no control over when that person was going to cross your path, right? You had control over, and even then you didn't really have control over what time you were going to make it to the Target. Were you going to make it at 8:30, at 8:25 because of other things, or 8:35?
Let me go to Target. I'm just kidding.
That's my place to go when I'm looking for singles. So.
Really?
No, I just made that up.
I was like, wow, note to self. That would be nice though. Just like shopping and then running into someone that is not your soulmate, but just running into someone because of luck, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Just had to clarify.
And sometimes you're unlucky and you go to Target in your PJs and without combing your hair, and you're like, oh, fuck.
You see someone attractive.
Yeah.
The shiny coin over there. You're just like, shoot.
And was that bad luck, or is that a bad choice? Maybe you should have taken
Or
a shower
maybe-
and put some clothes on and got ready for
Bad
whatever
choice.
life would give you that day, right? So
Or maybe it was good luck. It kept you away from that person because you
from a toxic person.
Yes.
So
You know, you never know.
maybe. So again, I still see the circles. It's just gonna be it's gonna be one of the three at some point. It's your choice, or it's lucky, or it's a
In
combination
between.
of both. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Nice. I wish we can like grab a picture, like draw it out for people.
this is what I'm talking about.
These are choices. These are lucky situations.
Yeah.
These are in betweens.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's very true. I can definitely see that. Like I pictured the moment you said that, I was like, I pictured it.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, so if we can branch off on that a little bit, I think one of the things that maybe disappoint people are being in search of too much luck and not,
And not receiving it or getting it.
or not seeking things and seeking opportunities and just waiting for things to kind of fall into the laps. Right? Mm-hmm. So like if you're a woman who turns down a lot of dates, and for whatever reason, right, you have your experiences, you just broke up with someone, that's fine. But then you talk about not being lucky, you haven't found the one.
But you're not putting yourself in those situations or out there.
You've not made the choice to
meet someone.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. So I think a lot of people are going back to the word dependence and independence. A lot of people I think are relying or trying to bank on the luck as opposed to doing what maybe they have to do to become a better person. Whether that's being fit, being healthy,
like working on
your career, working on yourself, and being a better person and version of you, so that maybe you attract something that is for you.
Yes.
Right, your soulmate.
Right. All right, let's pump the brakes. All right, we need a pause. We're getting a little ahead of ourselves. We're gonna take a slight break and then we'll be right back.
All right, I love my nieces and nephews. So if anyone ever has any good children or baby gift ideas, let me know.
Okay, so welcome back to Line with Jen. So we were talking about luck and we kind of got ahead of ourselves and ended on soulmate. So let's bring it back a bit. Let's focus on luck again. So I want to ask you, what comes to mind when someone says to you specifically, you're so lucky?
I feel like it's a easy way to try to compliment someone without maybe really understanding them. And so I think it could be a little, I don't want to say distasteful or disrespect to the person that they are, and maybe stuff that they worked for. Mm-hmm. And I'm speaking in general, not really me. Right. Just I feel like we're not paying enough respect or even attention to who and what they've become. Right. Yeah. Like it's so easy to be like, oh, I feel it's almost the same as when I see women do it, not really men. Right? Your dress is so pretty. Your hair is so pretty. You look so nice. Right? There's nothing wrong with that. Let's not turn that into something. I mean, it's pretty easy to just try to pay someone a compliment, and there's nothing wrong with it. But when we were trying to distinguish between like choice and chance and luck and all that, I feel it could be interpreted by some when they kind of take it in as like a little bit of a disrespect or distasteful, because some of it is choice. We talked about the differences between the two, and so someone having a great job, right? Yeah. Are men maybe luckier than women to be afforded the opportunity and privilege to earn a high earning job, right? Where they picked over a woman. Maybe they're a little luckier in that sense. But when we're talking about specific individuals, like me, you, our friends, our family members, where they kind of know us, and then you have like friends that are more, just what's the word? Sorry, just
acquaintances.
Acquaintances, yeah. I had like 50 words in my head.
I'm following.
They might not know you, and they might be trying to be nice and say, you're very lucky. But then even when someone very close to you that knows that you've put a lot of hard work into something, maybe they just get lazy and say, oh, you're so lucky. And they think they're being nice and just saying, that's their way of saying, you're so blessed and I'm happy for you, but really they're just saying you're so lucky and
Yeah.
But like, do they acknowledge everything that you've done and worked hard for, right?
Right.
So whether you buy a house, have kids, or you're so lucky you have beautiful kids, like, okay, maybe that won't
like,
be yeah, maybe that won't be taken any way negatively, but you
Yeah.
have a nice job and a nice house or whatever, and people say you're so lucky. It's like,
Yeah.
well, like, are you hating now? Or are you know?
Wait.
Yeah, and again, I'm not speaking for me personally. I'm just
Right.
saying. I know people have kind of discussed that without really saying it directly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying I think it's a lazy way to kind of compliment someone,
Right.
and people can take it a different way.
True.
So.
But how do you take it?
I think
Personally.
it depends on who the
says
individual
it?
is.
Okay.
I think if you know you have people close to you that have not always kind of been proud for you with certain life events, I think you kind of know, right? You can have like a nephew or a son, and
Right.
you can post pictures, and for some reason they never like your pictures, or they never tell you congratulations for like anything that happens in life.
Right.
Are they hating? Are they a little unsatisfied with their own life? Like you don't know. You don't really have time to, really try to dissect why every person comes to you with a certain type of vibe.
Right.
Right. You might be like, why did my aunt not say congratulations or thank you, or why did my best friend not do X, Y, and Z? I'm sure people do it. It's normal.
Yeah.
But you really don't have the time to really dissect every single person and then be accurate about what the reason is for them not to. So for me, I think people close to me who I think should know me, and say I'm lucky to have whatever, a house or nice job or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I think it could be coming from a different place, and so
Right.
I just stamp it with a little bit of a question mark and
A
move on.
question mark.
Yeah,
Huge
like,
question mark.
Okay, right. So,
Okay.
because then those same people always expect, right, a bunch of praise, and the minute you don't read a text instantly, they feel some type of way. So it depends on who it is. But for the most part, I think, like I said, I think most people just say it as a blanket statement of like, good for you, and
move on.
whether they're hating or not, it's just a lazy like
form of,
I'm happy for you.
Yeah,
or,
complimenting.
Yeah.
Yes.
So.
I like that.
Yeah, but it can ignore the whole kind of hard work that you've done, right? So like you becoming a doctor, like, is that really lucky, or that's you putting all the effort? Obviously, right. But are you a doctor making, and I know this is not realistic, I'm just throwing numbers out there, like, $300,000 a year, or a doctor making like minimum wage,
Yeah.
I'm obviously making that up, but there's a lot of hard work, but then there's luck and opportunities that come your way.
Choices.
Even if you struggle, on the lower end of being a doctor, and you're still on the lower end of what doctors should make.
Yeah.
Like you still have to navigate through all that. Right? You have to navigate through the interviews and applying and everything else, and succeeding and keeping your role. So, yeah, I think people need to kind of respect the path you took, and that
That's true.
you make your choices too. So.
Well said. So, would you consider yourself in your current situation, bringing it back? Well, we're bringing it back to your profession. Mm-hmm. Do you consider yourself the luckiest person in that sense, with where you're at now, or would that be?
Yeah. So if you were to ask me, do I feel lucky for where I am at?
Yeah.
I think that's different than the luckiest.
Yes.
Because luckiest feels like I'm comparing to
others.
Like, whether it's like Latinos in finance, or whether it's people I grew up with in high school and college, my siblings. There's a level of comparison to some group.
If you say the luckiest.
Yeah, the luckiest. And you could be lazy and just say the luckiest means the luckiest in the whole world, which I know that's not what you mean. But and I can answer that. That's actually a good question. I didn't want to dismiss it. So now that you asked, and I kind of tried to separate the word lucky versus luckiest, got me thinking of luckiest. So I'll answer that second. But as far as like lucky, I do think I am somewhat lucky. I know that sounds really boring and lazy, so let me dissect that.
Let me.
There are things that happen to everyone, like I said before, that are gonna happen. It's how you take it. And so I think I mentioned I grew up without a father. My mom, right? She was the mom and dad. my siblings are completely different. We have different career choices and
Yeah.
education choices. Was it a little bit of luck that I was not the firstborn child and had to kind of go through the things that my older brother did? Maybe. But then why does my younger brother make the choices he makes? Right? Was I unlucky that I wasn't the younger child and had like two brothers to look up to, right? Because that's what my younger brother had, but he still made his choices.
Right.
You know, he saw me go to college and do everything, but he still has done his own life his own way for whatever reason. So, was it unlucky for me to grow up without a dad? Maybe. You know, there's certain statistics with men who grow up without a father and this and that, but at the same time, I also think it made me a better person. Like if I ever had kids and got married, I always said, you know, I'm gonna be the greatest father and husband ever because to me, I would never leave like my wife and kids, which is what my father did. And then so I learned from that. And so to me, that was actually a lucky thing that I experienced that. So I would learn kind of the do's and don'ts.
Right.
And I think way too often when we're talking about those kind of statistics of growing up without a father, you follow certain patterns. Whereas for me, I choose to break patterns.
Right.
Right. Like my friends in college and high school, mostly high school, like they started doing things at an early age. We'll just keep it at that.
Yeah.
At a way early age. Things that adults do at an early age. And I was like, hold up, time out. Like, do I really want to, you know, start smoking, drinking, having, you know, sexual relations and all that at like 12, 13? Or do I maybe want to just maybe
pump the brakes?
Yeah, pump the brakes and maybe be a little responsible. So, you know, but again, other people who made those choices and, you know, let's just say they end up incarcerated or they ended up not going to, you know, a post-secondary education and getting a degree, will they say they're unlucky because they grew up without a father and grew up in, you know, in an impoverished community or whatever? Like maybe. So it's definitely a mix of the two. But again, coming back to me, right, how do I feel about being lucky or not? Definitely things have happened in my life where I was lucky to have not had situations go like way worse than they could have been, I guess. But I know for me personally, I definitely made certain decisions that kept me away from, you know, as I use those examples, at an early age, you know, pumping the brakes and not, you know, making those adult choices as that age. Yeah, as a child. So, you know, working in finance, you know, I could have worked in accounting or something else. You know, I used to work in sports and I really loved it because people like sports and I liked working with athletes and being very close to them, but it was a low paying job. Yeah. So my choice was to, you know, go seek something else. So I still had to make that choice. You know, was I lucky enough to get the, you know, just have my resume passed on to my boss that ended up interviewing me and all that? Like, yeah, I'm a little lucky that it was someone that appreciated my skills.
And you had that, having that connection.
Yeah. But then I still had to, right, have the talent, skills, and work through everything and present myself in a way that made him hire me. So, but I still needed to be lucky enough to find someone that was like him to hire me. Yes. Right. Something that happened when I first joined my company in 2017, before I had my current role. A lot of people don't know this. I'm going to try to be fast here. Okay. But I was once arrested. Okay. And I was arrested in 2013.
I think you told me this.
Yeah. And so I was working at a company from 2012 through 2016. And I was arrested once. Nothing happened. They dropped the charges, this and that. It was a silly just mistake, whatever. And then in 2017, when I started working for the company I work with now, right? And now I've been here 5 years. The hiring manager saw my background check. She saw that it said misdemeanor, and she just kind of brushed it off. She's like, "Oh, that's fine." And I didn't know that it was on the report.
That was still there.
I was so pissed. I was like, "Why is that there? If it was dropped, there was nothing that happened." And so when I look back on that, I'm like, I was a little lucky that she just brushed it off, didn't make anything of it. Right. She didn't take like any biases, me being, you know, Latino, and you know what really happened. Yeah, right.
So like question the situation and like ask you, you know, details about it. Essentially.
Yeah. And so I'll be honest, I was a little lucky that it was her with her mindset that kind of overlooked it. They didn't really make anything of it. Right. Where someone else could have turned it into like And even if it was dropped and doesn't say conviction and misdemeanor, like
they would have
maybe something happened. Yeah, let's just move on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And look at someone else. So yeah, it's I think that's an example of where it's luck, but
yeah,
you know, you still have to navigate on your own. So
right, and you have to like, oh, that's for sure. You have to like face those situations too.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. Like that was a very lucky situation where she didn't take that into consideration, where you didn't get that job.
Mm-hmm.
But that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I'm proud of you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for coming on and talking to me. I know I had a lot of questions, and it was fun just going through loops, like going back on different topics. But yeah, thank you very much. Do you want to leave your at again, or do you want to say one like last few comments or anything for everyone watching or listening, whoever's listening?
Yeah, I would just kind of close it with, I think, just embrace the luck, the unlucky too. It makes you who you are.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, just kind of take it, roll with the punches, and just learn to love life and the people, you know, that are there in your life. And, you know, hopefully good luck will come your way by making good decisions and loving the people that you're supposed to. I think when you send love out into the universe, love is bound to come back. So.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Follow me on Instagram. Watch this, hopefully, on YouTube. Yeah, keep up with us, or me in general. Thank you. Good night.
And don't forget to take a chance. Take some risks in life. Okay, bye.